everyone, and a very warm welcome to this FLV Global interview. My name is Colin, so thank you all for joining us via our dedicated GenFlow Telegram group, YouTube or podcast. We're having a slightly different format today, as this will be one of 3 interviews that we'll be doing where we'll discuss the recent and very positive RNS of GenFlow Biosciences. For those that may be new to this company, GenFlow Biosciences is a preclinical biotech company that focuses on developing the SIRT6 centenarian gene with the aim of treating rare diseases, increased health span, and subsequently longevity. And representing GenFlow is our esteemed guest, Dr. Eric Lehr, the CEO of GenFlow Biosciences. Welcome back, Eric.
Thank you.
It's really good to see you again. How are you?
Very good.
You must be a very happy man today. Did you know your share price just jumped 30% off of your RNS?
I noted that with great satisfaction. Thank you.
Oh, well done. I hope that continues. So look, I know you've been a very busy bee, especially if your recent RNS is anything to go by. So let's dive straight in to look at the GenFlow's financial outlook, which is the main thrust of today's talk. So to start, there's lots been going on in the world. So can you discuss the potential impact of global events, such as the increasing interest rates of geopolitical instability on your financial outlook, and how your company plans to mitigate these risks?
Yeah, those risks are difficult to assess. It's difficult to predict what will be the next interest rate. This is obviously out of our control, but there's a way to protect our business now and in the future, and it's mostly with cash conservation. The fact that we have a cash runway of 2 years is a very strong asset of the company, and I believe that could be the key success factor that will make a difference between failure or success to reach clinical trials.
I mean, funding is always a big issue with companies. The biotech industry, from my perspective at least, is highly competitive, and it's not uncommon for many companies to struggle with securing funding and, of course, achieving their milestones. However, you seem to be in a very favorable financial position compared to many of your peers. As we mentioned, your recent RNS that you have a 2-year funding runway until March 2025, which is a great buffer. And it also says you're actively pursuing non-dilutive financing options to further extend this cash runway. This obviously gives you an enviable opportunity to focus on R&D and driving growth. Now, of course, as my wife said, you can never have enough money. So what's your strategy for cash conservation?
Okay. Yes, very important. As opposed to a lot of biotech companies, cash conservation in our company doesn't mean that we have to axe some of our programs. That doesn't mean also that we have to cut corners on a development program. We've been always doing cash conservation. We didn't need to wait for the bad financial landscape to do that. And mostly it's around 3 points. First, a very strict control of the cash position and putting a lot of effort on having a reliable forecasting of the expense. Second, our cost structure. We always favor the variable cost rather than fixed cost. So we didn't have, for example, we try to avoid any large investment in manufacturing. We outsource that and we keep that variables. We also try to limit the fixed costs in the payroll, which is a big cost. Third point is we favor the non-diluting grant funding rather than equity as much as we can. We've been very successful and we continue to do that.
I mean, non-diluting grant funding, there must be a lot of biotech companies that apply for that. I mean, they're all struggling to secure funding and understandably cutting costs by axing staff and halting all but their most advanced programs. However, it seems you're not reducing your R&D expenditure, and you are seemingly able to deliver on your milestones from your business. How then do you and GenFlow differentiate yourself from other biotech companies that are also pursuing this non-diluting grant funding?
Yes, research grant, the non-diluting research grant market is now extremely competitive. You understand, we're not the only one. We were favoring that before the bad weather, but now a lot of companies are trying to do that. Once again, our cash position help us. If you're a biotech that has only 6 months of cash or less, as unfortunately many biotech companies, especially preclinical, early stage company, are in this situation, you're not a good candidate for a grant. A grant is given. Rarely authorities will support 100%. They want you to contribute, and they want to be sure that you will be still there when they will still be paying. They don't want to pay in a company that will die in the next 2-3 months or 6 months. So giving the insurance that whatever happens in the next 2 years, we'll still be there, still doing our experiments, is a big differentiators versus other companies. Also, grants takes a lot of time to get. It's a lot of work, and for us, it's not an issue. When you have 6 months of cash and a grant will take 6 months of paperwork and review, and this is not a solution for us. Yes, we're competing against a lot of companies, but if we have to wait 6 months, that's fine. We don't have any cash flow issues.
So the process for that, I mean, it's on the same topic really. The process for that, you said that it can take up to 6 months. That must take a lot of time getting all your documentation together and applying. Is that a process you're used to now? I mean, you've had several grants over the years, so is that a bit more automatic for you now, or does it still require a lot of work?
The process varies with different grants. So the key point is the quality of the science. And the more we progress, the more validation we have in the science. We can give more data. We can provide more data to the grants. It's really data driven. So the fact that we are now more advanced gives us more chance to have grants. One reproach from, for example, NIH grants. NIH is great grant giver, but they tend to be very conservative. It's taxpayer money, so they want to have safe projects, which in a way doesn't favor innovation, because innovation comes quite often to crazy ideas. And when you come with a crazy idea as a grant, the chance that you get the grant is very low, because people are very conservative, meaning they try to protect taxpayer money, and therefore they tend to take grants that are relatively sure to achieve their objective and not to waste money. The fact that we're more advanced, that we can provide more and more data to support our idea, even if it's disruptive, give us more chance to get the grants right now. So it's becoming easier, but not because of the experience in getting grants, but it's because our ability to provide supporting data is now highly improved as we advance in the project.
Brilliant stuff. And I see that the biotech industry is sort of known for its long timelines and, of course, correspondingly high failure rates. But it's also one of the fastest growing sectors in the global economy. I guess that's why we love it. You know, in 2021, the biotech market was valued at $697 billion, and it's projected to reach $2.44 trillion by 2028. Now, Eric, without giving anything away that should be in an RNS, what milestones can investors expect GenFlow Biosciences to achieve in the next year? And how do you think these milestones affect the company's valuation?
Okay. There's several milestones, just small milestones, but the key milestone that really will be catalyst to unlock the value of GenFlow will be first the interactions with the regulatory authorities. We're planning to have this year scientific advice with European agencies. This will be followed by some interaction with the FDA. Those first interactions are very important because you agree with the regulatory authorities on the rule of the game that you will play, and you have a first window on what will be your chance to be approved as a product. So this interaction with both European and US agencies are quite important for us. You will see also an increased implementation in the US. We are the first pure play longevity company to list in Europe, but obviously we need also to be present. We need presence in the US. We are reinforcing that. We'll have more and more news coming from the US. We're conducting trials there. So that's something that will also have a huge impact on our valuation.
I think that's a very good point. And one of the things I love about your pipeline are the potential treatments for serious and life-threatening conditions. How do you plan to leverage your now favorable financial position to accelerate the development of your pipeline and bring these products to market quickly? Especially now, America will be one of the biggest markets.
Yes. I would like to first really reinforce the message that we are not cutting any kind of R&D expense. So we continue exactly as we planned. The beauty of being focused on cash conservation and putting a lot of effort on forecasting and controlling our costs is the fact that we can deliver the milestone we promised in our business plan, whatever the condition, inflation rate, geopolitical instability, we still advance. We are still working on two programs, the Werner syndrome, the progeria, the disease of accelerated aging, and it's progressing well. We put now a little bit more focus on NASH. It's a very interesting indication because of the potential market. It's a very large opportunity. It's underserved. There's absolutely no treatment for NASH right now. And also, the regulatory pathway, the development pathway is well identified because it's a huge unmet need. It's a pathology that unfortunately become the leading cause of liver transplantation. So that's an economic problem, but also a logistic problem. There won't be enough liver transplant for all the NASH patients that will happen. And we know this is happening. So both the FDA and the European agencies have issued guidelines for the development of NASH, and there's a lot of benefits. For example, the fact that we can conduct our clinical trials against placebo rather than other comparator because there's no standard of care. The fact that we can have a minimum need for biopsies, and they provide surrogate markers that you can get from the blood, making the clinical trial easier, cheaper, faster. Those are real advances, very attractive. You can also benefit from conditional approval. So you have you can be the FDA and the European agency curb a little bit their rules, give new guidelines, so you can bring to the market a drug faster than usual. That's extremely attractive for the investors, for the company. So we are now collecting a lot of very promising data on our preclinical program for NASH, and we're pushing forward on this program.
Brilliant. Well, that's going to lead into part 2, which is going to be hopefully next week. So what we'll do, I think we'll end it here as our first part on a series of the webcast today. So if you don't mind, I'd like to thank you very much and take a moment to say that we really appreciate your time in joining us today. So thank you once again, Eric.
Thank you very much, Colin.
Okay, my pleasure. And for our audience, as we wrap up part 1 of this broadcast, we want to leave you with a sneak peek of what's to come in our installment with Eric. As he's already touched on, part 2, we'll be delving deeper into GenFlow's biosciences work on NASH, a liver disease that affects millions of people worldwide. And we'll also explore the potential of CERT6 as a cure for NASH and what that could mean for patients and the biotech industry as a whole. So everybody, look after yourselves and join us soon for our next webcast as we continue to uncover the groundbreaking work being done by GenFlow Biosciences. Goodbye.